Hi. We are finally, after months, getting into Marshclan. I am very excited because this, out of all four clans, has been my absolute favorite to work with so far. And I'm just so ready to talk about these guys, these nonsensical little kitties. So, Marshclan, when I randomized it, got the strong and unthinking, which was absolutely perfect. Um, it's just strong, kind of stupid people who power through everything without thinking about it first. And I thought that was a great way to run a clan. So here's the little paragraph that I wrote about them with some of their history and analysis and blah blah blah. As most clans branch out to hold within, Marshclan tries their hardest to interact with each other while avoiding rogues. These cats are very close with each other, but not because they really care for each other. The cats that control this clan are a family, and there have been two others that are much smaller within their ranks. However, one of those other two families has passed away, with their last member being pretty recent, and this clan is in control of a single family. After weeding out and previously closing borders, the clan has gotten very tight with their bloodline. Their cats struggle with not just opening up to new genetics, but also the difficulties of the marshlands that they are named after. The waters are full of plenty of prey, but also that brings in much larger predators, and not just predators, but much larger animals in general, and that leads to attacks or difficulties and just floods all of the time that wash away kits and seasoned warriors. Marshclan's territory lies in a wet grasslands and forest with mountains high above them. They don't have many places that are rocky on their territory like the other clans do, and their forests are pretty sparse. Most of their hunting is along the rivers, lakes, streams, or grasslands that stretch out over their territory. The camp is made of a beautiful forest of thick bushes for dens and overhang to keep them cool and protected. However, there are a few streams near the camp that tend to swell during spring and flood, so they do have pretty much a yearly problem with that. Though they're not the only cats in these four clans that hunt, warriors of Marshclan tend to spend a lot more time around the streams and lakes in the warmer months for hunting, and rivers during colder months, depending on what's freezing over, what's easiest to hunt in. Cats tend to use their strength while chasing and swimming, but don't always have the patience for fishing or snatching up birds. Due to the close nature of the clan, they've become more accustomed to use their strength instead of intelligence. Under the control of Chervilstar, I think that's how you pronounce that, Marshclan has furthered themselves from their roots. The clan used to be full of passionate fishers that would traverse through the open fields with great skill. However, the elderly leader has allowed for more brute strength and mindless hunting. What was once a clan that was well respected for their skills and kindness had transformed into a genetically isolated, unthinking group of cats that are determined to burn through their sources of prey. So, a few places of note are the Moose Meadow, a wide stretch part of their territory where there's often different ungulates, aka hoofed creatures, particularly moose, that they find. This is important to them not just because it's like, ooh, cool, different creatures besides cats, but also the fact that if there is, say, like an elk herd that is hanging out in that meadow, they can't go hunting there or they get stepped on. If there's a moose out there, they have to give it a wide berth. So it's usually a place that it's like, we can only hunt here if there's nothing else going on, and if there are other animals there, particularly ungulates, then if they need to hunt there, it's like a last-ditch effort. It's kind of like a no man's land. No one wants to go out there to be the one that hunts there because they don't want to get stepped on. Another place is the Glistening Waters, a beautiful lake that often glitters with moonlight or sunlight and is one of the main sources that the clan uses for their food. It's relatively far away, so this never floods their camp or main hunting grounds, but it does, it is most subjective to freezing over or losing water for when droughts happen. So it is their main source of food, and depending on the status that it has, that's what they kind of determine what their hunting is for the year. If it's really low, they might go, oh, this season's really bad. But if it's full of food, they're like, oh, it's a good sign. It's their determiner. And last but not least, another part is the Mossy Nook, a rocky crag in between boulders and oak trees where wet moss grows and is the easiest place for them to collect. A lot of moss gets swept away, as well as a lot of other plants can get swept away or overwatered when all of the rivers and streams swell up, and they need a source of moss for their dens and stuff that isn't constantly wet and is good or can be found. So they have a place that's a little bit higher up and out of the way of the water that works efficiently for them. So prey-wise, what you can probably expect, they fish, they eat birds and ducks and rodents and rabbits and all sorts of stuff. If you can't find it around the water or in the moorland, then they probably aren't eating it. A couple traditions and rules that they have is that fishing during the winter is rare and should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. This is because it's cold. The water is cold, and that can lead to sickness and hypothermia and all of that fun stuff. So they tend to avoid that as much as necessary. And also, the cats who have a thicker or longer pelt take longer to dry off, and when it's colder weather, it's not exactly helping keep these cats cool or dry. Another tradition they have, one that's more modern, is hunt until you're not hungry. This is kind of something that Chervilstar did because he's very, he pampers his clan with food, but this rule does lead to a lot of overhunting. And it's not exactly the best thing for them. And their third rule is that you should not have a mate outside the clan. It's really frowned upon, and they need to keep it all together. They don't really trust outsiders. They don't trust the other clans. It's just them. So now we're going to get into the cats, if you will. We have Chervilstar. He is described as a white tom with short fur and copper eyes. I said a thin, short-furred white tom with copper eyes. He's got 2 lives left. He was originally Cherviltail. And here is his little paragraph. Chervilstar is a bi-tom that is well past his prime and is passive-aggressive. He's been leader for the better part of a decade and has led his clan in their dwindling time. He's also probably the reason that the clan has gone straight down into the ground. His time as leader has made him feel very powerful and as if he can avoid criticism from external parties or even his own clanmates. Even though the clan is mostly his family, he really only has interest or sympathy in his mate Goldencloud. He does not really care for a lot of his kids, and he, as you'll see when I talk about the next cat, kind of keeps them on a short leash and is really constantly manipulating them. He's got them all at different places. He is unafraid to shun certain ones and to praise other ones, and he just it's very toxic. His family is very messed up. So his deputy is his daughter, Yellowthroat. Originally, it was Slugstripe. The slug, I think, can be really fun prefix, but it didn't work for me, so I put Yellowthroat, like the bird, like a common yellowthroat. It worked. So she was said to be a caramel-spotted tabby she-cat with short fur and hazel eyes. I said a muscular, short-furred, light creamish-brown spotted she-cat with hazel eyes. I don't know why I changed caramel to cream. I think I just did that better to work with Goldencloud's appearance. So there's that. Yellowthroat is the daughter of Chervilstar and Goldencloud. She has 3 other siblings, a Snowstream, Thriftfruit, and Applepelt. Yellowthroat is an ace she-cat that is stuck up, aggressive, and often is the claws for her father. While he's never said it aloud, least of all to the entire clan and not really to her face, she always believes that she's the favorite of the family and 100% acts like it too. She's got a huge superiority complex, and she thinks that her being deputy is, a sign of her father's love, and not just the fact that of her siblings and of the members of the clan, she is the physically strongest. Like, that's her role. She is strong, and that's why she got deputy, which is a little unfortunate for her. Her behavior has been really annoying, and it annoys the rest of her siblings and her nieces and nephew. And it's a really strong reason why she doesn't have a mate or good relations with the rest of them. She tends to be very pompous and think of herself as better, and that leads to a lot of tense conversations and conflicts. And it's she doesn't really have a great relationship with her siblings alone. She is really manipulated by her father, though, particularly with the position being deputy, as I said, which I think is unfortunate, but it's kind of to the point where it's so far gone that telling her that she's not really her father's favorite would probably have her in denial for the rest of her life. And she's not as well adjusted as she seems to put out there. She's pretty highly emotional and petty, and I feel bad for her, but also at this point it's also a little bit her fault. The medicine cat Thriftfruit is Yellowthroat's sister. Originally, Thriftthroat was a short-haired cream-tick pseudo-tabby she-cat with copper eyes. Thriftroot is a thin, short-furred cream she-cat with tabby face, legs, tail, and copper eyes. She is a hetero she-cat that is very quiet and never speaks her mind on topics. Her opinions are never mentioned unless it happens to be related to a medical issue. And then no one else has any expertise or anything on that. It's mostly just, if it's on herbs, that's straight up her alley, and that's all she gets. Signs that are from StarClan, that she gets in particular, have to be translated through her father before being told to the rest of the clan or anywhere else. And her impression is usually wrong, according to him. She has kind of picked up on the fact that her father is very controlling over her ability to communicate with StarClan, which is a little bit because his connection is not so great, and that it's kind of like his connection has dwindled over time because Marshclan ancestors are really upset by how he's basically making the clan go extinct, because they cannot last much longer like this. And Thriftfruit gets a lot of these messages, but she's learned to stop telling him as much, but she does have to like fulfill a quota so that it doesn't seem like she's completely cutting him off. Besides like the relationship she has with her father, she's not in favor with the rest of her family, mostly because like Yellowthroat does not like her a whole lot, because Yellowthroat's like very much warrior and very much does not like medicine cats, and thinks of Thriftfruit as being weak because she can't do like fighting and stuff. The only one of her family that she actually likes is her nephew, Bearpaw. They're the only ones that are like pretty close, and even then, she can't have much of a relationship with him because, you know, he's not her apprentice, and anytime they get too close, the whole clan seems to flip out. Next is Sleet Ear, originally Fennel Ear, a short-furred blue and cream spotted tortoiseshell she-cat with hazel eyes, is now Sleet Ear, a beautiful short-furred blue she-cat with cream spotted patches and hazel eyes. Sleet Ear is the daughter of Applepelt, which makes her the granddaughter of Chervilstar and Golden Cloud. She has a sister in Laburnum Bark, and she's the older sister of Bearpaw. Sleet Ear is very interesting. She is a bi she-cat that often gets into trouble with her grandfather. She was once in extremely bad trouble for trying to have a mate in another clan, which got her publicly shamed in Marshclan, so much so that she is kind of an emotional wreck. She has gone completely quiet. She's now extremely prone to having upsetting emotional outbursts, and she often relies on speaking to her aunt Thriftfruit about emotional stuff, and she just spends some time sulking in the medicine cat den, because, you know, Chervilstar thinks that you can throw herbs at depression and it fixes it. After her shaming, she ended up losing her father, Duskfeather, and was deeply depressed, as he was the only one who actually stood up for her post-shaming. Her mother, Applepelt, didn't even, and neither did Laburnum Bark, her sister, or Bearpaw, who was very young at the time, so can't really blame him. her life hasn't gotten much better after that, and she's really tempted to leave the clan and possibly go join Ivyclan, which is the last one I have to talk about. So, Sleet Air is, she's definitely a favorite of mine because she is trying to break out of the mold. I think that she would try to be closer to her younger brother, but it's not exactly working, because Bearpaw is wrapped up in all sorts of other things. Next is her littermate and sister Laburnum Bark, who was originally a laburnum stream, a long-haired cream mackerel pseudo-tabby she-cat. Laburnum Bark is a tall, long-furred cream tabby she-cat with gold eyes. She's what her grandfather would say is the best kind of warrior. Laburnum Bark is a header she-cat that likes to spend her days using her strength. Many of her days and nights are spent chasing down prey, whether that be knocking down squirrels from tree branches or digging out rabbit burrows. She does not fish. Laburnum Bark kind of like marks, also with Yellowthroat, kind of marks what these new Marshclan warriors are like, which is just like land hunting, which is not bad. It's not bad to change up their hunting style, but it's also, there's nothing wrong with the fishing. This is just, Chervilstar personally thought fishing was too hard, and then he stopped making everyone fish and now makes everyone work on land. Laburnum Bark is a lot stronger than her sister and finds Sleet Ear to be a incredibly disloyal warrior for her depression. Yes, Laburnum Bark is kind of ableist about this. Like Chervilstar, she thinks you should throw herbs at the problem until it goes away and doesn't understand why she's so upset about Duskfeather's passing. It's like, he died, let's move on, other things to do. Her grandfather often encourages her to completely ignore Sleet Air, and they really don't have a relationship. And the last time they were truly close to each other was probably when they were kits, and even then, they were hardly even warriors. I mean, they were still pretty much apprentices when Duskfeather died. Duskfeather was going through something while they were apprentices where he was getting sick, and then it took like a year or two after for him to die. And at that point, he was still pretty in bad standing with the clan, because Chervilstar wanted the last of Duskfeather's bloodline to kind of die out. So they were getting much closer to being just the one. Anyways, moving on. Snowstream. This is the only cat who stays the same from the generator besides Chervilstar. Snowstream is a short-haired white she-cat with amber eyes. I said that she is a thin, short-furred white she-cat with amber eyes. Pretty much the same. Oh, sorry. Her apprentice is Bearpaw, the only apprentice, and she is the one of the other sisters of Yellowthroat and Thrift-Root, and is the one of the daughters of Chervilstar and Golden Cloud. She is a header she-cat that takes after her father only in appearance. She was the only white cat of her father's litter and his little pride, though not good enough to be deputy. Her deeds are more in the way of training, and she actually helped train her nieces, and is now working on her nephew, Bearpaw. However, she's becoming a lot more disconnected with her father over time and is growing closer to Thriftfruit and Bearpaw in particular, who are all kind of the deviants of the clan. She wants to also try to rope in Sleetear to their little group of outcasts, and would probably leave if Sleetear left, and would try to take either Thriftfruit, Bearpaw, or both with her. Next is Bearpaw himself. Originally Slickpaw, a black tom with short fur and copper eyes. I named him Bearpaw just because it sounded better, and he's a large, short-furred black tom with copper eyes. He is the last cat that's been born in the clan. He's the youngest cat, son of Applepelt and Dustfeather, grandson of Chervilstar and Golden Cloud, only son that's been born in that family. So he is one of 3-4 males in the entire clan. Yeah, of 4. So that's a lot of pressure. And Bearpaw is a bi-tom that has a lot of pressure on him from all sorts of sources. He's torn between his family's gaze, but also wanting to do his own thing. His mother and grandfather deeply wish for Bearpaw to continue to keep the genetics within the clan, but he's not certain how he can do that, because everybody else is his family, or is the other family, which is reasonably too old. However, StarClan has sent Thriftfruit a vision about Bearpaw that is supposed to change the clan in some way, and he would be the protagonist of this clan, or even if all 4 clans were in a story, probably of the entire story. Bearpaw just has a lot riding on him, and breaking out those social pressures would be just amazing. Sorry. Next, we're getting into the queens. We have Sandthroat, who is a red she-cat with short fur and yellow eyes. She has become Sandleaf, an aged, short-furred red she-cat with yellow eyes. She is the daughter of Cambion Stripe and Daffodil Storm, who are both elders. And she is kind of a permanent nursery queen, kind of like Daisy. She's a hetero she-cat that is often very annoyed with the rest of the clan and likes to spend her time alone. She is a permanent queen, helping Applepelt with her 2 litters over the years. While she tends to do nursery duties, she still does plenty in the way of hunting, defending, and traveling. Her age is catching up to her, though, so she's soon going to retire to the Elder's Den with her parents. But she knows that's pretty awkward, and she's trying to stay out of it as much as possible. Unfortunately, because Dustfeather has passed away, and it does not look like Applepelt is going to be having any more kits or litters, her duties are kind of done as a nursery queen, which means that she's going to be shipped off to the Elder's Den by Chervilstar sooner than later. The other queen is Applepelt, who is a short-haired cream she-cat with hazel eyes. I said that she's a plump, short-furred cream she-cat with copper eyes. I just changed the copper to fit in with her family. Again, she's the last of the daughters of Chervilstar and Golden Cloud. She had a mate, Duskfeather. She has 3 kits, Sleetear, Lumbertonbark, and Bearpaw. She's the only one that's kept her family genes passed on. Applepelt is a hetero she-cat that very much loves her father and her 3 kits. Her whole life, she has spent with her family, and they are really her whole life. And she is so upset that they're falling apart. She completely ignores the red flags from her father and thinks that, Sleetear is being improper, and that, Thriftfruit is also being pretty improper, and that Snowstream and her departure it is really, really bad. She didn't stand up for Sleetear at all, and she is the one who applies the most pressure to Bearpaw, particularly because as the only one of her siblings that had a mate, Chervilstar applied a lot of pressure onto her, so it's just like some generational trauma. Applepelt tries really, really hard to talk to his siblings, and often doesn't succeed as much as she thinks that she should. She's closest with Yellowthroat and Laburnumbark of the whole clan, and she spends a lot of time talking to her father about rumors and drama and just spilling tea here and there. More recently, she's lost her mate Dustfeather and has not had another litter since Bearpaw was born. She's still in the nursery, but does like hunting and stuff. She just, because her father's not like really applying the pressure to her, she's not exactly in a hurry to get out there and do things. So she's just kind of taking her time. Now on to the elders. We have Daffodil Stream. She is Daffodil Storm, my bad. Daffodil Storm is a mostly white chocolate and red tick calico tabby she-cat with short fur and hazel eyes. I said a once pretty short-furred white she-cat with brown and ginger tabby patches and hazel eyes. She is mates of Campion Stripe and the mother of Sandleaf. Daffodil Storm is a hetero she-cat that is well past her prime, much like Chervilstar. I imagine she is probably a bit older than him, but not by much. But she still tends to do her warrior duties the best that she possibly can. She is not the best at hunting anymore since her vision and hearing has weakened, but that doesn't stop her. Her skills are always put to good use around the camp and sometimes in the nearby streams when it comes to fishing. Despite the clan's current opinion, she'd rather die than stop fishing. She, if there are fish in the fresh kill pile, it's usually because she put them there. She will spend days going out to the lake and just fishing and having a good time. She says that it keeps her young, and she's probably right. Next is Golden Cloud, who is the mate of Chervilstar. He was said as a short-furred cream-spotted pseudo-tabby tom with yellow eyes. I said that he's a scarred, short-furred, light creamish-brown spotted tom with yellow eyes. Again, Snowstream, Yellowthroat, Thriftfruit, and Applepelt are all his daughters. Sleetear and Laburnumbark and Bearpaw are his nieces and nephew. Golden Cloud is a gay tom that is very biased, closed-minded, and once very bossy. He's kind of been declawed a little bit in his old age. Not literally, he still has claws, but he's less vicious and now more sassy in his old age, and less like he's not going to pick fights physically, but he's going to do it verbally now. In his old age, he's calmed down a lot from being bossy and has now really become more passive-aggressive. He very much loves his mate Chervilstar and all 4 of his kits, though only really likes the first litter of his grandkits. His annoyances with Bearpaw come from his annoyances with the late Duskfeather. He did not like Duskfeather or Duskfeather's family, and does not like how Bearpaw looks really close to how Duskfeather looked as a black cat, particularly because the rest of the family is pretty like creams and whites and like light colors, so dark colors are just not what Golden Cloud is into. He's very rude to everyone, and him and Chervilstar really sit as 2 gossiping old men and have run this clan into the ground. The last cat is Campion Stripe, who was originally Waxstream, a red mackerel pseudo-tabby tom with short fur and amber eyes. Campion Stripe is a muscular short-furred red tabby tom with amber eyes. Again, made of Daffodil Storm and father of Sandleaf. He is a hetero tom that is the nicest in the whole clan and very goofy in his old age. Think dad jokes, but now like elevated to like grandpa jokes. While he only had 1 kit, he tends to think of all of the cats younger than him as kind of like an extension of his family, even though there's a lot of drama. He also doesn't really tend to pick up on that. He's a little socially blind in that regard. He loves to tell stories of his youth to Apple Pelt's kits in particular when they were growing up, and has found a really special connection with Bearpaw. His love for the apprentice remains, despite all of the conflict that the clan has, and reminds him really heavily of when he was young and how serious he was as an apprentice. And while Bearpaw doesn't always listen to him, the Campion Stripe's always there to give advice, also lend an ear to listen to Bearpaw's worries, always just trying to tell him, hey, calm down a little bit, while understanding the gravity of the situation that Bearpaw has been put into. Campion Stripe kind of serves as like one of the only purely unbiased, very kind authority figures in the clan, though he was pushed to the side pretty quickly by Chervilstar. So yeah, that is Marshclan, and I hope you guys have been enjoying these new pictures and with the background and all of that. I wanted to spice it up, make it look good. Also new cover image, so that's great. Yeah, this is the first one of these that I've done with my new tablet, so line art looks a little bit better. Everyone looks a little bit more cohesive. Got to do this a little bit faster. Lines are a little bit better. Really loved how a lot of these scars turned out. Wow, it is very windy outside right now. So yeah, when's the next episode? That being the last episode of this little series with Ivyclan coming out. I don't know. I'm gonna try to do it, hopefully soon. Hopefully, probably by the first week of December. Not entirely sure. Really gonna try to get this out soon. But again, no promises. Thanks if you watched it this far. I know that I'm getting a lot of love on Rockclan's video, so that's great. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.